Good evening, everyone. This is the Black Post. This evening, the message will be sent. This is a moment in the time when the Black community must tell our own stories. Stories that go beyond trauma and criminality, which is usually the media's go-to when talking about Black experience in America. In the post-George Floyd era, where the rest of America is waking up to the stain of racism that has plagued our country, we need to educate and highlight our triumphs as a people and not just our pain. That's always been highlighted. As a nation grapples with its racist past and the ways in which it has vilified and criminalized the image of Black people, Black America will help paint a broader mosaic of how living in America has shaped our values and ideals as a people. With a robust impact and engagement campaign inclusive of an ongoing film and photography series, online conversations, in-person events, and published content will provide a space where racism, colorism, mental health, emotional wellness, physical fitness is key, and community politics are addressed from the perspective of Black Americans to define and redefine what it means to be Black in America. This interactive digital campaign will be used to create new and dynamic conversations, representations of self-conceptualizations. As a narrative-driven documentary, these are the things that we need in the Black community. We need for our people to tell our stories. Now, we need to first and foremost understand not all Black people come from Africa. Did you know that some of us are essentially indigenous to this land? That we're the native-born Black people from this land? That the first original Native Americans were Black people that was not from Africa? But I'm going to leave it right there. Just to, guys, have you ponder a little bit, have you do a little bit of research. But let me tell you a couple of stories. See, there was a Black female police sergeant who established programs for improving police and community bonds within an underserved and over-policed neighborhood. In efforts to create better police relations, she encouraged other Blacks to join the force and police their communities. How does the current climate of Black Lives Matter and defunding the police impact her work, community, and identify as a cop? Now, we understand that the Black Lives Matter movement is a nothing burger. We understand that it was a fraudulent company systematically created by the Democrats in order to undermine the Black movement based upon all the high communicated deaths like George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Philip Castile, and others. Sandra Bland, to name a couple. It occurs when we allow other groups of people to be a part of a movement and to fund our movement, and then they start to get back and Black bootlicks to undermine the majority of Black people. We need more cops. We need more cops that are Black in our community, because when you go to an Asian community, they have Asian cops policing their community. You go to a white community, they have white people policing their community. But when you go to a Black community, it's most likely white, Hispanics, Asians, and whites that are policing that community. And these are where our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers are getting killed. They're getting arrested. We're having a lot of issues. See, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I saw a mixture of Black and white cops. And it was a total different interaction. When you was with a Black cop, you felt familiar. It was almost like your uncle telling you, hey, don't do this. He wasn't so quick to lock you up. Because when he goes home to his Black kids, he see his Black kids in you. And he don't want to see his kids in jail. So he just tell you like a big uncle would do, or even a father figure would do. But when you have these race soldiers and these people who are not familiar with you, the first thing they want to do is criminalize you and lock you up. There was a black man who lives in a city that was once the capital of the Confederacy. His time in college with his time in jail. He explained that he was freer in jail. He was freer in jail than he was in college because his mind was expanded after reading books by black activists. See, that's a lot of times in the black community. Unfortunately, we use our conditions, we use our environment, we use white supremacy as an excuse not to read and educate ourselves. We don't know anything about Neely Fuller. We don't know anything about Francis Cress Welsing. We know nothing about Dr. Claude Anderson. We know nothing about Dr. John Henry Clark. We know just what we heard on TV or video about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, Benjamin Banneker, just to name a few. Now, he said that he was freer in jail than he was in college because his mind was expanded after reading books by black activists. Now, during this time, he crafted a strategy to capture the attention of young black and at-risk children to change the trajectory of their lives. Other than the financial disparities that we have in our environment, in our communities, we have a lack of education of oneself. See, we may be college educated, we may have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, but we don't know anything about ourselves. We don't know anything about the systematic white supremacy because you've made it, because they allowed you to get a job. They allowed you to have a career. You know nothing about it unless, guess what? You read about those black activists who was on the forefront, who were on the front lines fighting and dying for the little bits of freedom that we have today. I mean, a 90-year-old black man sits on his front porch explaining that his home was built through hard work and determination while working on a sharecropping plantation. He lives in the South and defines himself as colored and not black. He explains that he prefers segregation and is not offended by colored only signs because that sign let him know where he can go and be free. Does that make any sense? It made a lot of sense to me. Now, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, just to name a couple, said that we could never live in peace alongside white people and Asian people. We could never live in peace alongside white people and Asian people, that there will always be racial conflict. So the question is segregation the answer? Now, I know some of you who may put everything else before your melanin. You put everything else before your divinity. See, your melanin, your culture, your traditions is your divinity. Whether you say you attest that your ancestors are from Africa or your ancestors are native blacks to this land. It doesn't matter. Your melanin, your skin tone, your color, your features is a sign of your divinity, of you being a demigod in a sense. Not the capital G-O-D, but the lowercase G-O-D, if you know what I'm talking about. But he talks about segregation being apart from oneself. If the people who are in control, who are part of and support the system of white supremacy, why won't they allow us to be by ourselves? Why is it that every day you wake up, there's another racial conflict, another racial encounter, another racial, some sort of chaos that occurs each and every freaking day? Why is it? Why can't these people leave us alone? I was just looking at a story earlier that a young lady who's a nurse was shopping in Walmart, and a white lady allegedly racially profiled her and said that she was stealing. And the lady believes that because she was black, she believed that because, again, when they went through her things, she didn't steal anything. And when the lady was ringing up stuff, some things were even rung up twice. But this is the world that we live in, especially here in these United States of white supremacy. So the question is, and you guys can leave it in the comment section, is do you believe that blacks should be segregated from whites? But I know some of you are going to put your political party first. Nah, man, I'm a Democrat. Nah, man, I'm a Republican. Some of you are going to put your religion first. No, I'm a Muslim. I'm a Christian. I'm this, that, and the other. And it's supposed to be all people. It's not working, family. The dream that Martin Luther King had, and a lot of you do not understand within his last speech, he was actually promoting segregation instead of integration. The name of that speech was, I've been to the mountaintop. Go and listen and read that speech. See, we most focus on the speech that I have a dream because that is a speech that white Americans want us to listen to and hear and abide by. But has it gotten us anywhere? Or is there more black, beautiful, intelligent people dead because that we're integrated? I'm just asking a question. I'm not saying we should be integrated or segregated. I want to know your opinion. Because ever since this integration, it almost seems that more of us has died by the hands of police brutality and white supremacy than we ever have once we came out of slavery. And the age of the video is exposing these very truths. So just ask yourself that question. Do you believe that we're better off segregated or better off integrated? And see, the problem is we do not attend to our melanin first, meaning black first. I'm thinking about black people, my black self, my black community, my black family first. I'm not thinking about that I'm a Democrat. I'm not thinking about I'm a Christian. I'm not thinking about all these other things. I am thinking about my community and my people and my family. That's the things that we should be thinking about. Those are the things that we should be thinking about. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. I know that I've been sporadically on and off, but I will try to be more consistent. I've been trying to put together some great content for you guys just to think. You know, sometimes I do videos just for you guys to think of an alternative, another perspective and narrative to see where that might land you. Because a lot of times, if you're looking at the same sources of information over and over again, you tend to side with those sources. If you look at CNN all day, then you're just going to be looking at CNN and MSNBC. Some of you may look at Fox all day, but those are the talking points you're going to have. Instead of knowing about oneself and your community and your environment and your people, you know about their environment, their people, their talking points, and what they want you to do. See, I know why we're still integrated, because they need a class that they can call the criminal class. So they can take the focus off themselves and put the focus on ourselves. If you notice, you can count on one hand the number of mass shooters that have ever been black. You can count on one hand the number of pedophiles in church that has been exploited, has been essentially exposed in media. And we won't even talk about the Catholic Church. We won't do that because we already know. Some things are just at this point, self-explanatory. I was just reading a story about a nun. She stole over $800,000 from the Catholic Church to support her gambling habit. So I guess she figured she can have sex, she can at least gamble. I'm just saying. But I want you really guys to think about the question I asked you. Are we better off integrated or segregated? And I really want you to think about your melanin, your indigenous, your aboriginally self first before you think about any other party that you subscribe to. This is the Black Post. This evening, the message was delivered. No matter if you loved it or hated, I sent that damn message. I'm out.